Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis. It is Xur Day, September 23rd. Xur has arrived. He is in the Winding Cove up on his little cliff, so let's see everything that he's got. Alright, first we've got the weapon. Good old pulse rifle standby here. Vigilance wing, pretty solid in PvP, still hits pretty well. I don't actually have the catalyst for this one, I think, or no, I've actually got it, I just have to work on the kills. But it is a 5-round burst, kinetic pulse rifle. It's just a solid one in PvP. When a nearby ally is killed, gain health regeneration and increase movement speed for like kind of a short time, increase weapon performance and greatly increased recovery when its wielder is the last living member of a fire team. So if you're playing solo in PvP, because I don't think this works in PvE, you get that. And this is mostly a PvP gun. It's mostly for that 5-shot burst, middle range, because you can see it's got 65, so it's not going to get way out there on range. But it just works. It's one of those that if you enjoy pulse rifles and for some reason you don't own it, buy it. It's a fun one to use. For the hunters, we've got Raiden Flux. Now, some of you have probably gone through the campaign at some point and got one of these already, but if you don't have one, or you want a decent roll on one, more of a PvE-related one, you've got a decent resilience and recovery, so you've got some kind of basically survivability. Then you've got intellect, since it is a super-based one, and also strength. Quick successive attacks with Arc Staff increase its damage output and duration. Very simple. If you run anything Arc Staff, this is a good one for PvE to help you do more damage, have it last longer, stuff of that nature. So definitely pick this thing up if you don't have it. It's also a decent roll, even though it's only a 62. Mobility, recovery, intellect, and strength. I know it doesn't help you in the mobility category, just for Titans, but it's still solid for survivability. Sorry, I may have said the wrong word there. And also a decent intellect start. Titans, if you don't own this, you should buy it. If you have one, you might not have one that's this good. You have a 66 total stat roll on Aeon safes. Now, it is the Sect of Insight. When you perform a finisher on an elite, you generate special ammo. If you perform a finisher on a boss or a mini-boss, some you can, some you can't, you generate heavy ammo. In things like raids, master raids, things of that type of stuff, you need to have this pair of gauntlets. And the fact that it's a 66, decent intellect, decent like recovery, so you've got some survivability there. It's not terrible in resilience, but if you masterwork this thing, you'll be at 10. Put a mod on it, you'll be at 20. 66 total stats. Buy this if you don't have it, and it may still be better than the ones that you've got. So check the stats, make sure you own a pair. You should. Everyone should have a pair of these. This is a very solid pair as well. For the Warlocks, you've got Lunafaction boots. Another one. Warlocks, if you don't own this, buy it, because your rifts gain the additional ability to increase weapon reload speed. Empowering rifts make weapons effective over longer ranges, and the fact that this helps you with reload speed, you can use it with your wells, and it will help you there as well. So your wells having increased reload speed while everybody's trying to do TPS, not a bad way to go, and this is also a very kind of PvE-focused exotic with a PvE roll. You got 16 intellect, 13 resilience, 17 in recovery, and 12 in strength. Like, if you don't have one, make sure you own this one. And then again, even though it's a 62, distribution is great, nothing wasted on mobility. It's a solid roll, definitely a solid roll. So all of the exotics, if you don't own them, make sure you do. Aeon safes at a 66, very good. Lunafaction's also very good. Make sure you own both of those. With the Hawkmoon, we've got Hipfire Grip. You can probably skip that one. Dead Man's Tale is a PvE roll, 4th time's the charm. Obviously, really only going to benefit you in PvE, not so much in PvP. You got stability, range, and stability. It's not a bad roll, but again, when you think about the cost of the Cypher, the Shard, and everything that goes into it, this isn't exactly a PvE god weapon, so a 4th time's the charm is probably not worth most people's efforts, but if this is something you're waiting for, go for it. For the legendary weapons, it is SMG day. We've got 4th time's the charm and Dragonfly, kind of a PvE roll with like Alloy Mag if you finally get MT. It's okay if you like to make things explode, but I don't think this is going to win any PvP god rolls. Dynamic Sway Reduction and Surrounded. You've got Flared Magwell for stability and reload speed. You've got some stability here. It's not going to have like crazy max range, but it should be fairly stable with some decent handling on it. Surrounded lets you know if people are close, or extra damage in a PvE situation with some very solid stability. Then you've got Killing Wind and Wellspring, probably the weakest of the three. Friction Fire is a nice one to shoot. I like how it shoots, but Wellspring, not the greatest probably when it comes to either a PvP roll with Killing Wind and only an okay perk here, and this one isn't really doing too much. For the Shotgun, Lev from Gold and Shield Disorient, they're almost going away from Shield Disorient as an actual perk. So I don't know if this one's going to be worthwhile to hold on to. Matching energy shields creates like kind of a disorienting explosion. It's got light mag, it's got some corkscrew rifling. This is a PvE roll if you want it, but again, I don't know if I would take my time on it. Dual Loader and Thresh. I think you can skip this shotgun because while Fractal Fist is kind of fun, I don't think these two perks are doing anything for a whole lot of people. Surplus and Frenzy. Frenzy, if you are in combat, you get a nice bonus to damage, but it takes like 10 to 12 seconds to activate. Frenzy does increase handling, reload speed, and stability for each fully charged ability, but it's a rocket. You gotta fire it one time. The reload handling, not a bad thing to have a bonus on, but there are better code duellos that you can get out there, I'll be honest. Gnawing Hunger, though, if you don't have a Void machine gun, please. You got accurized rounds, you got small bore, so range, stability, and range. You got the backup here with a little handling if you prefer it. Zen Moment for some stability. Actual recoil control, sorry, they changed that perk a smidge. Kill Clip as well for the reload speed. And you've got stability. It's going to be a very solid Void auto rifle. If you don't have one, make sure you buy this one. It's going to be decent in PvP and PvE. Kill Clip for the reload. You got stability. It's going to be very stable. Laser Beam may not be max range, but that's honestly okay. If you don't own a Gnawing Hunger or Void auto rifle that you like, it's one of my favorites and definitely a decent roll here. For the army, you've got a 61 with very high resilience. Theoretically not a bad thing for a Titan and high strength. So if you're looking for a resilient strength build, a couple spikes there, but it's a 61, not like a, 64 or above that I wish it was. 58, you can skip. 62 with high resilience, high intellect. If you're going for that kind of build, it's a little better because nothing is wasted on mobility. Some recovery. It's not as bad. This is actually a better roll, I would say, of the stat distribution. It's only 1 point higher, but it's definitely a better distribution for a Titan in my preference, and a 58 here, not so much. So, Titans, just basically the helmet. Alright, for the Warlocks, we've got a 61 mobility, resilience, lacking in recovery. I just don't know if I can do that to the Warlocks. You got a 58 high recovery, but it is only a 58. 61 with you got recovery, but you also have a pretty high spike in mobility with next to no resilience. PvE related, just can't really swing for that one. And a 63 with low resilience and recovery, just very high in mobility and strength. Not one that I would prefer, but if you have a very certain build, maybe. But honestly, Warlock's not too much exciting for you. Besides the boots, not bad boots. For the Hunters, you've at least got stuff in the 60s. You got 22 mobility with a little resilience, low recovery. Depending on the build that you're going for, you may need a spike in mobility. 60, pretty even spread with a high spike in discipline. You got 61. This one's kind of only okay because it's a little too evenly spread. 62, kind of similar. Low resilience, you got some mobility and recovery, a little more of a PvP setup, but still very even depending on what you're going for. Not exactly helping you make like, triple 100 builds or anything. There's one more thing I want to point out. It's related to Trials, so let's jump over to the tower. Final thing I want to mention is Trials, and the main reason is, one, you've actually got Freelance this weekend. I know I made a video about it, but if you're a solo player, Freelance, whether you may win or lose, it's kind of more of a coin flip, because sometimes you'll be on the good team, sometimes you'll be on the bad team, and you will not face any 3 stacks. Which is massive for me, because I typically play it solo, but I will be looking for some friends this weekend, mainly because the bow is Adept. And typically if a weapon comes through as Adept, we do have a longer season, but as we only got Trials about 6 weeks in, it's going to be really tough to get this one to probably come back around again for a little while. The Whistler's Whim has some really cool perks. It's an adaptive frame bow, not a lightweight frame, but it can get some very fast draw speed, reload speed. I really enjoy bows, so it's one I will be going for sure. I don't know why the normal one is a lightweight frame, and then the Whistler's Whim Adept is oddly an adaptive frame. That could be a bug, but either way, I definitely want that bow. So it's Freelance Trials this weekend. Make sure you spend a little time in there. And again, I go through the reputation rank, so I have these engrams that I'm going to focus in and try and get as many rolls on this bow as possible. It's kind of the only thing I really want. So once I start getting one of the bows, all of my engrams are going in there. So good luck out there. Trials will be where I will be spending a little bit of time. You got a couple decent exotics for everybody. Titans for sure. Make sure you pick yours up. A 66 Aeon roll, 66 Aeon, good for high level content, especially helping get that heavy ammo to show up. A couple decent SMGs, very good auto rifle, and other than that, not a whole bunch else, but Trials this weekend is where you will find me a decent amount of the time. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like below, leave a comment if you got a weapon, maybe something I forgot to mention. If you want to find me on Twitter, Twitch, it is Ebontis, but right here on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, and the alert bell helps my videos make it to you, so if you want to hit that as well. If you're a YouTube member or Patreon sub, thank you guys for the extra support. As always, you're all fantastic. I'll see you in the next one.